All right, let's start with my least favorite award, most improved player. We're not doing clutch player of the year. Fuck clutch player of the year. That's a stupid award.
Dumb. Very bad.
Most
very
improved
bad.
player. I have a guy who is in the spirit of the award winning. Ivica Zubac. That is a guy in the spirit of most improved. Cunningham, vastly improved. I totally understand. He took the leap from, is this guy a disappointing number 1 overall pick to an all-NBA player?
Correct.
That's not what this award is about. He was a number 1 overall pick. This award is about a guy in Zubac who was a fine rotation to good starter in Los Angeles, becoming a borderline all-NBA caliber player out of nowhere. So I'm going to give it to Zubac. Shout out to my number 2 vote would be Austin Reeves, and then Ty Jerome, number 3.
I love it. I'm going to go with a guy who I wanted to give DPOY to, but I will not. I think, again, spirit of the award. I'll give it to Dyson Daniels. This is a player that was averaging 5.8 points a game last year, up to 14 this year. Obviously, his defensive play is talked about a lot, but I didn't realize the improvements he's made to his offensive game. Some of the situational stuff in Atlanta, I think, has helped him out. And my number 2 was Ivica Zubac because, again, looking at what the Clippers have done to weather the storm with Paul George leaving free agency and Kawhi being Kawhi, his play has been very impressive, averaging a double-double, obviously. But Dyson Daniels, I think that's a player that Zubac was he's always been fine. You know what I mean? He's been fine. He's improved a lot, but he's always been fine. Dyson Daniels was not on my radar until this year. Was not on my radar at all.
He was lost. He was lost in New Orleans.
He was completely lost.
Like the 9th man there.
And I remember you or Nikki in the draft special a couple of years ago being like, this player will maybe be the best 8th man on a team. Like he was really not on anyone's radar, and now he's got a badass nickname, the Great Barrier Thief. He's in DPOY discussion, and he's one of the better pieces in Atlanta. So I agree, Henry, in the spirit of the award. I don't like when it's a guy who's a guy who becomes a great guy. I don't care for that very much. I don't think Dyson Daniels is that. This guy was not in the zeitgeist of NBA talk. He firmly is now.
Yeah. I think Daniels is another great candidate. Let's go to 6th man of the year. Mm-hmm. And I know this is where you're gonna wanna shine.
I'll keep it short. I mean, it's Peyton Pritchard. I know there's a big push for Malik Beasley because he's leading in some statistical categories over Peyton Pritchard. But I think the thing about Pritchard that's important is, one, his play out of the gate was huge for Boston, right? Peyton Pritchard opened the year at plus 5,000, I think, to win 6th man. I think he was not even in the conversation. Like, wow. He was not a player. And I think for part of that, I think that's justified. Peyton Pritchard, streaky player, but nowhere near as good as he was this year. And he was consistently good, and especially out of the gate. Celtics had a bit of a championship hangover. He had moments in games where he was like righting the ship. And I think what's also impressive is that a guy like Pritchard being a good 6th man on a team that doesn't necessarily need a 6th man, I think says something to me. And for Malik Beasley, there's opportunity to get buckets. Detroit has made leaps and bounds. What a successful year they've had. I'm not trying to belittle that. But there's a reason Malik Monk was always getting the 6th man of the year in Sacramento, a team that was more often than not in the 7 to 9 seed out west, okay? You had room to get buckets and to assert yourself on the game. Peyton Pritchard didn't necessarily need to do that for Boston, but found a way to. And his assists, him leading that second unit, keeping that unit afloat for the most part. I know Beasley is better 3-point numbers, barely, but I think Pritchard being so good on a team that was better than Detroit says something to me. So I'm going to give it to him.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. It's very close for me. I'm going to give it to Peyton Pritchard because there are certainly moments when in games in which Tatum was playing and Brown was playing and White was playing, you'd whisper to yourself like, wait, is Peyton Pritchard the guy they want to kind of run things through here? And Peyton Pritchard has a ceiling that Malik Beasley can't touch. He's had an unbelievable year, Beasley. He is now part of the top 10 most three-pointers made in a season in the history of the NBA, alongside a bunch of Steph Curry years, a James Harden year, a Klay Thompson, Anthony Edwards, and Malik Beasley. Who would have thought he's top 10 in three-point field goals made in a season? So I have it as Pritchard, but Beasley's pretty close. And then I have Ty Jerome, but I'm not sure if he's technically going to be eligible just because there's a stupid 20 minutes play. Remember the thing that Dante DiVincenzo got screwed with last year?
Yep, I remember that.
Same thing.
Disaster.
Same thing's happening with Ty Jerome. He's been awesome, but he isn't. I don't think the Cavs rely on him as much. If six man of the year had a minutes cut off below, I think that's what Ty Jerome would probably win. But Beasley and Pritchard, I think, have just been a little bit better.
Real quick correction: Peyton Pritchard actually opened at plus 10,000 to win six man of the year, not 5.
I got to be
plus
honest,
10.
that is flooring.
And
that is shocking to hear. It was
that should speak to how good of a year Peyton Pritchard had. Malik Beasley's been in conversations. People are aware of Malik Beasley. I think Malik Beasley opened the season. He also opened at plus 10,000. Okay, so this argument's a little bit flawed. But I would just say Peyton Pritchard has been.
Who was the favorite? Who was the favorite to start the year? Because I can't imagine Ty Jerome was very high up on that list.
No, it was Malik Monk and then Naz Reid. Ty Jerome, I don't think is on my list right now. Yeah, it was Malik Monk, Naz Reid, Norman Powell.
Yeah, well, so I mean, Malik Monk became a starter basically because they traded De'Aaron Fox, and then Naz Reid. Naz Reid's been awesome. Don't get me wrong; he's still been really good. But I think you can reward the novelty of Pritchard and Beasley and Jerome.
Yeah,
I think for sure.
Agreed.
Let's go to perhaps my least favorite award on this list, outside of Most Improved, because I think that's a dumb premise. Rookie of the Year. Oh boy, listen. This was a weak rookie class. We all knew it. We all knew that this was not going to be a particularly strong rookie class. And I would say that's exactly what we got from the 2024 NBA class. I went with Stephon Castle.
Same.
Do I think Castle is a particularly good NBA player right now? No. I don't think he's that good. A lot of compiling stats on a bad San Antonio team. But he showed good promise. Like, he's not terrible. He's not going to be an unplayable player. His passing's a lot better than I thought it would be. But he was not an impactful player. Of guys to play over 2,000 minutes, there's 91 of them. He's 89th in true shooting percentage, so he's one of the least efficient scorers in the NBA. If you look at his shot breakdown, he's a bad at-rim finisher. He's a bad mid-range shooter. He's a bad three-point shooter. He's not an efficient scorer at all. But he's decent on defense, and his passing has impressed me. So I'm going to go with Castle. And this is basically just a stat compiling award. So I have Castle 1, Reza Shai 2, who's come on as of late, and then Jalen Wells, who unfortunately had that scary fall, but he's had a nice year too. Jalen Wells 3.
Yeah, I think I also picked Stephon Castle. I agree with that. I think Stephon Castle is going to be the first player since Malcolm Brogdon to win Rookie of the Year and then proceed to not make an All-Star game. In his career. Good chance. I don't think Stephon Castle gets to that level of play, but due to circumstances, again, due to the fact that Reed Shepherd never really made it to the fucking league. Zach Edey was a disaster. You have injuries.
I wouldn't say Zach Edey was he was a disaster for a lot of the season, but he really came on well as of late. But
disaster. Sorry. In the terms of availability, like Zach Edey just didn't put together enough consecutive games played to even contend for this award. So I think it was a weak showing by this rookie class, and Stephon Castle, I think played better than a lot of people may have thought he would have. But this is not the best looking Rookie of the Year discussion we've ever had on this show. I'll tell you that.
I would say it's probably the weakest Rookie of the Year since Malcolm Brogdon in 2016 for sure.
Yeah.
Wemby and Paolo and LaMelo, all those guys are lapping the field here.
Even Scotty Barnes made it to an All-Star game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Stephon Castle will get to that level. He's in like the Michael Carter-Williams category for me of just like where he will be as a player.
Yeah. Ooh, that'd be a rough outcome for San Antonio if he becomes Michael Carter-Williams. If he becomes Malcolm Brogdon.
They have De'Aaron Fox now. Like, they have De'Aaron Fox. Like, that also, for long-term stuff, I think has an impact.
That's true. Let's go to Coach of the Year, and I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. This one might be a hair hot. It's Ime Udoka for me. And I know as a Celtics fan, I've already talked about Peyton Pritchard. I might have some bias for Ime, but a couple things. If Mark Dagnall's not being considered for Coach of the Year, and a lot of the odds and experts out there are not, then Kenny Atkinson also shouldn't be, in my opinion. Because it's not like the Cavs were some fucking dumpster fire team. They were a good team in that 4 or 5 range consistently. Couldn't get it done. Bring Kenny Atkinson. and had a great year, 64 wins. Like that's nothing to sniff your nose at. Joe Mazzulla got the Celtics to 65 wins last year, I believe, and was not considered for Coach of the Year honors. And let's just call a spade a spade. The East is a less difficult conference. The East is not as good as the West. Ime Udoka taking a team that didn't make it to the playoffs, get them the 2 seed out West in a year where their West was really difficult and really competitive, and Oklahoma City was far and away the best team. But for that team, Houston, to be the 2 seed, I don't think anybody saw that coming. You could have maybe seen Cleveland playing well, maybe not this well. But I think with Ime Udoka doing it with less guys that have been here. Again, Donovan Mitchell is like an all-NBA caliber player. Darius Garland is an all-star player. Evan Mobley's all-star talent. Jarrett Allen's a hell of a player. Those are guys that have been there. They've been to the playoffs. They've done it. They've won games. They haven't gotten to where they want to go, but they've been there. Who on Houston besides Fred VanVleet and sort of Dylan Brooks has big game experience and knows how to win? Ime Udoka does. And that speaks, I think, the job he's done as a coach in a really difficult conference and with a lot of pieces. I think in Houston, this thing could have gone off the tracks quickly because they have that many pieces and they have a lot of young pieces. I think he's a hell of a coach. I really do think that. And I'd give him the award over Kenny Atkinson. And honestly, this is hot too. Ty Lue should be getting more talk as well. What Ty Lue did with this Clippers team to get the 5 seed in the West is deeply, deeply impressive. So if it's not Ime Udoka, it's Tyronn Lue for me. Kenny Atkinson should not get this award.
I don't have Kenny Atkinson winning. I have JB Bickerstaff because he did something no coach in the history of the NBA has done. Tripled their wins. They went from 14 wins with Monty Williams to 44 wins with JB Bickerstaff. And is that more of a Monty Williams is terrible stat than a JB Bickerstaff is incredible stat? Perhaps. That might be the case. But still, Detroit was to steal a term that we used to say, the toilet basement of the NBA for like 3 straight years. And now they're the 6th seed. They're out of the play-in. They had a good year. Cade Cunningham had an all-NBA caliber season. And I think the way that JB Bickerstaff helped to get a lot out of Tobias Harris after his rough tenure, let's put it like that, in Philadelphia, Malik Beasley, Ron Holland, Anasar Thompson, their 2 young wings are both like 2 of the 3 worst shooters in the NBA. Getting Jalen Duren to look really good. Isaiah Stewart, his progression on defense, being a real dude on that end and not just a guy who throws punches. I think what Bickerstaff has done is incredible. I had Bickerstaff 1, Ty Lue 2, and then I had Kenny Atkinson 3.
Yeah, I mean, Bickerstaff deserves that. I have him 3rd. I don't have Kenny Atkinson in the top 3.
Whoa! Okay. Perhaps the most interesting award here, Defensive Player of the Year. Now, this is an award. I'm looking at the odds and I'm looking at the ballots that some people have already publicized, the voters. This is a mess, man. Yeah. The amount of names that you're going to see get a first place vote is going to be shocking because Mobley's going to get votes. Draymond, Amen Thompson's going to get votes, I'm sure. Dyson Daniels is going to get votes. Ivica Zubac is going to get some votes. I'm sure there's somebody who's going to throw Rudy Gobert's name in there just because he's Rudy Gobert. I went with Mobley because over the course of the season, I think that he has been the catalyst of one of the best defenses in the NBA. He's available. They ask him to do a lot on that end. I know he has another really good defender next to him in Jarrett Allen, but he has to cover for 2 pretty weak defensive guards in Mitchell and Garland. Draymond, I'm not going to deny Draymond has had a fantastic close to the year, although Zubac manhandled him a little bit in that last game against the Clippers. So I have him 2nd, and then Amen Thompson I have 3rd. That game against the Warriors a few weeks ago was incredibly impressive, holding Steph to just 3 points. He's the best defensive wing, I would say, in the NBA right now, probably wing/guard, and his twin brother's not that far behind him.
Yeah, he's good. He's good for certain. I also picked Mobley. Boring, I know. Draymond, it's been controlling the narrative, which is for this award a huge thing. I think
Did
when
you
you
see
look
that
at
the odds flipped though? Like last week, Draymond was like minus 350, and now he's plus 225 or something like that. I got to know who pump and dumped. Who did a crypto scandal to get Draymond Green's odds all the way down to buy Evan Mobley stock when he was plus 200 or whatever? I
yeah.
got to figure out who pump and dumped.
Yeah, it's Mobley though, because I just think he's always been a really good defensive player, and I think his play overall has improved tremendously this year. You're right, like people attack Garland and Mitchell, and that's like a smart strategy. But Mobley has to do a ton of cleanup duty, and he does it well, and he can defend all five positions. In my opinion, he's that good. I like the Thompson twins a lot. I think they're both excellent wing defenders. I like my guy Jason Tatum as a wing defender, not for DPOY, but in terms of wing defense, I wouldn't put Amen Thompson might be the best young defender in the game, and he'll be the best wing defender in like another year or so. He's that good. Dyson Daniels as well deserves some credit. I kind of like when the defensive player of the year is wide open. I also like when we hear guys that aren't bigs get consideration. But ultimately, I just think, when Marcus Smart won it, it really made sense. I think it was kind of like this is the best defensive player on the best defensive team. There's not a guy like that this year, and I think Mobley has consistently done a good job on defense. I think Draymond has just been controlling this narrative as he usually does, which again sometimes does work for this award, but I feel confident Mobley's gonna win it.
Yeah. I could see Dyson Daniels maybe getting it if the Hawks were a borderline top 10 defense, but the fact that they're not a good defense just kind of proves that a great guard defender is not that impactful if you don't have good, impactful defenders around them. So
Yep.
that unfortunately screws his case, but he's done about as well as you can. Let's move on to the big kahuna, MVP, CJ.
I give it to you first, brother.
Okay.
Take it away.
They're very opinionated people on both sides. There are. But I'm sorry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP. I know what Jokic has done has been remarkable, but Shai, as the only actually excellent offensive player on his team, leading his team, is one of the best offenses in the NBA, the best defense in the NBA, a key piece to that. Basically every single lineup with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the court, it's like a plus 20 net rating. Arguably the most efficient, dominant guard scoring season we have seen since Michael Jordan. It's Shai. It's Shai. His downhill rim attacking opens up so many things for them. It is the entire basis on which their offense is built. I don't want to take anything away from Jokic. He's still the best player in the world. 30-point triple-double. Holy, you can't fathom how good his efficient 30-point triple-double average is. But it's Shai. It's Shai. Historical indicators point to it being Shai. The fact that OKC's a borderline all-time team point to it being Shai. So I have Shai 1. Then I have Jokic 2. And I know I said this to you 2 weeks ago, but I take it back. What Giannis has done the last few weeks without Damian Lillard is remarkably impressive. 32, 11, and 10 on 68% true shooting, leading the Bucks in a time which they were without their second best player. So I have Giannis 3, Tatum 4, and then Donovan Mitchell 5.
Let's look at the last 3 Jokic MVPs and look at what the runner-up did and just kind of compare those stats real quick. So 2020-21 season MVP runner-up is Embiid. Embiid, in only 51 games before the games threshold, Embiid averaged 28.5 points a game, 10.6 rebounds, 2.8 assists. 21-22, Jokic wins again. Embiid's the runner-up again. Embiid in 68 games played, 30.6, nearly 12 rebounds, 4 assists a game. And then last year when Jokic won his third MVP, the runner-up was Shai, who averaged 30 points a game, 5.5 boards, 6 assists. This year, Shai is averaging nearly 33 a game, 5 rebounds, 6.5 assists. He's played 1 extra game. And the Oklahoma City Thunder are having a truly remarkable season. And they as a team are absolutely outstanding. So Shai is up to scoring by about 2 a game. Rebounds and assists are the same to when he lost the MVP last year to Jokic. looking at this an hour before the show, I came to the conclusion that I will be flipping my pick, and I actually believe Nikola Jokic is, in fact, the MVP after averaging a 30-point triple-double. I know the Thunder wins have jumped a ton. The Shai statistical jump was not as high as I thought it would. You know I'm not a huge true efficiency, true shooting guy. And Jokic to up his three-point shooting by 5% over his career average. Field goal shooting is up. And to look at how disgusting and bad the Denver Nuggets are, the 60-point game he had, coming on the way he has with the triple-doubles down the stretch. A month ago, you and I got killed for being like, Shai won it because of this. There's fatigue. I'm tired of Jokic. I said that. And by the way, people, voter fatigue is a real reason guys don't win awards. Like, if you're like, you don't understand that, like, understand that. Okay? Like, that is a real reason guys don't win awards. By saying voter fatigue and acknowledging this, we're being realists, okay? So I just want to clear that up. But Henry Seeliger, I have to flip my pick. I will be picking Nikola Jokic to win his 4th MVP over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, over Jason Tatum at 3, over Giannis Antetokounmpo at 4, and over, I as well had Donovan Mitchell at 5. I looked at the numbers closely. I studied it. I agonized with it. And I cannot deny the inevitable. Nikola Jokic is about to get his 4th MVP.
Do you think he's actually going to win it?
Yes. And my reasoning is because it's actually part of my take I had with the small market thing. I think the NBA is going to lean into Oklahoma City as this great team with Shai being great. And then the narrative for Jokic is he has carried this bad team. And he's doing something that's never been done before by a center. Like, I think those storylines, because the NBA is a marketing business, that's just what they do. And it's the award comparison I'm going to use it to is what happened down the stretch with Malik Monk and Naz Reid for 6th Man of the Year last year. Or again, DiVincenzo had his issues as well. Oh, DiVincenzo wasn't up for 6th Man. He was up for Most Improved. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was Monk and Naz Reid, and it looked like Monk the whole time. But then Naz Reid, with how Minnesota was playing down the stretch, just slowly etched his way out. I think Jokic is going to do it again. And I think, honestly, the fact that they fired their coach and their GM is actually, in a weird, fucked up way, going to help him. Oklahoma City is one of the best coaches, one of the best executives, and they have the best team. That is going to be used against Shai, and the chaos and turmoil in Denver is going to be used to help Jokic's case. I do believe that. So I think he is somehow, I'm not betting it, I think he's going to find a way to win it.
According to Fox Sports, I see the odds right now. What do you think Shai is to win MVP? He's a
Probably
favorite.
minus 320.
Minus 3,000 to win MVP.
Wow.
Which is shocking. Listen, I'm not going to say that Jokic is an incorrect vote. I cannot, as I said, you cannot fathom how impressive a obscenely efficient 30-point triple-double is. It just comes down to historical precedent a little bit for me. I think generally a team as good as the Thunder with a player as good as Shai, that guy wins the award legitimately 100 out of 100 times. That guy never loses the MVP. And my whole thing was that if Shai was having the season that Anthony Edwards was having, like a very efficient, you know, when you take into account 3-point variance and more attempts that Anthony Edwards shoots from behind the 3-point line, if he was having that year 27, 28 points per game, then yeah, Jokic is the MVP. But 33 points per game as a guard,
I get it. Couple other things. If Oklahoma City got to 70, it's all but Shai's award. And the fact that Jokic finished the season being the first center to average a triple-double helps him. Jokic had some insane games down the stretch. I don't think
the triple-double average itself is all that impressive. And I think most people aren't as impressed by that because we saw Russell Westbrook average it for 4 straight years, and we knew he was not the best player in the world for a lot of those years. So I'm not saying, like, that is obviously crazy impressive, but I don't think the voters are looking at that and being like, "Oh, he's a center who averaged a triple double. You got to give it to him." I think it's
Oh,
more that the triple double was in context of a team that was kind of falling apart, had a weak supporting cast, and he does everything for them. He really does everything.
That's the problem again, because the Shai's numbers, maybe his efficiency is up, but the team is much better. But his numbers aren't that different than when he lost to Jokic last year. And for the Jokic people that are saying like Jokic has averaged 9 assists a game in an MVP caliber, so he's upped his assists by 1. Or he's almost at 11.
I don't think over the course of 70 something games he played, I don't think that matters all that much. It's not the triple double. It's the fact that when I watch the games and when I watch, holy shit, they're playing Julian Strawther, they're playing Jalen Pickett, they're playing like Michael Porter Jr. has to guard their best offensive player on the other team. That's more what I look at it. Like I don't look at the 10 assists as opposed to 8.9 assists really as like, whoa, he's having this record-breaking year. It's because like if he was averaging basically the same thing, but instead 28, 9, and 9, but I watched the games and they looked exactly like they did this year, I would be just as impressed, truly.
I think you're giving some of these voters too much credit, though. He is a center averaging a 30-point triple-double. And
Maybe
that sentence alone, I think, carries a lot of weight for people. Because, yeah, if it, like, it's easily digestible. If I'm the basketball writer for the Orlando or the South Florida Centennial. I'm making up newspaper names at this point. I'm one of these Miami writers who is in the pocket of Pat Riley, right? Like, I'm not watching a lot of Nuggets games. You are. But when I see center averages 30-point triple-double, and then I think about how Aaron Gordon hasn't played and Jamal Murray hasn't played and Michael Porter Jr. is a disaster and like all these things, they have no bench guys. Oh, they just fired their coach. Oh, they just fired their GM. All this is happening, and this guy's doing something that's never been done before. That says something to me. I still think the Thunder are slightly disrespected heading into this playoff run. I still think there are people who do believe Shai is a free throw merchant, and Shai has the help of a strong supporting cast, stronger than Jokic. And I think there are people out there that do believe that. I think when I talked about this a month ago, I was kind of stunned to see how many people hated on Shai. And after digging around and looking at StatMuse and doing the things that I do, Shai's had an unbelievable year. And if Shai wins MVP, I'm not going to be outraged by it. I had him for most of the year to win it. Well, I started the year saying it was going to be Tatum or Brown. We can just strike that from the tape. But
Brown!
Brother! I've had this belief that Shai was going to win for a long time, but Jokic has come on so strong down the stretch here. It's kind of hard to ignore what he's done. And for a guy who's won 3 MVPs, he's putting together a season that is better than any of his other MVP seasons. And Shai had a better season a bit compared to what he did last year. But the thing that was the jump was the team's play more than Shai's himself. For Jokic, it was this team actually is way worse and you're doing better. And you're finding ways to get them to win. I don't know.
I can respect the argument.
It's by far the most difficult MVP race that we've covered on this show. By far. And that's exciting because it should be like this.